Hello world, my name is Orlando Watson and I serve as the Senior Director of Programming here at the August Wilson African American Cultural Center. Now, today is not at all about me. The center and topic of conversation is three beautifully talented, multifaceted women by the name of Kendall, Dawn, and Élise, collectively known as the String Queens. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
that
that
intro.
intro. It's beautiful.
How do you feel?
Pretty good. Yeah.
Feel pretty good? You
Glad to be
well?
in Pittsburgh.
Okay, well,
No
good.
complaints.
Yes.
Good,
we woke
good,
up
good.
this morning. We're blessed.
We're blessed.
Yes.
Can't complain.
Blessed.
Can't complain too much. So I'm happy to have you here. And I just want to get right into conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I've been hearing about you ladies for, I would say, about 4 years.
Oh, wow.
About 4 years now. We already talked about a mutual friend we have in common.
Mm-hmm.
He told me about you all. And I was like, let me check them out. Checked you out. Instant fan. The first time I heard you ladies play was at the APAP conference in New York this past January. Fantastic sound. And what I noticed was that although you're playing classical instruments, you have a very fresh arrangement of pop charting singles and tunes that you really bring to life. Can you tell me about your approach to your arrangements and just your musical taste as individuals and a collective?
I would say as a collective, part of our mission and our founding in terms of what we want the audience to experience, because as we plan our arrangements, as we put our concerts together, the set list, because all of our live shows don't all sound like the record, but we think about what the audience would want to experience. We all grew up sort of with this foundation of mixture between classical, gospel, soul music. And we noticed when we were kind of coming together as a group that this didn't quite exist yet. And the music we wanted to play, the music that was like running through our veins, you know, the Earth, Wind, and Fires, the Stevie Wonders, a lot of this music was not written. If it wasn't written for trio. There might have been a piano score out there. And so I think we just wanted to make sure that we created a niche or a lane that would inspire people. I mean, classical has a technique that Dawn always says this, you can't avoid the technique. Like you can have fun, you can, do slides and sound soulful, but you can't run from the technique. And so the fact that we get to incorporate multiple styles of music while also holding true to who we are as classical musicians is a blessing.
Yeah, you'll find us at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night playing Shostakovich or playing, some Beethoven, and then 10:30 we'll be at the dance hall across the street, jamming to some Mozart or anything else, So music, like, it's in our soul, no matter the genre, but we're always moving. Even just us playing around with notes and singing, and everything's a song. Every hello is a song. I'll see you later is a song. And so we share the love of music, and we share the innovation of music. And I think that's what works with us. We're always open to, what everyone's opinion is about music, but we also share we want it to groove. We want it to dance and don't be fooled by the strings, okay? So we've got to have you move because we move. And so to give our audience a great, exciting, exhilarating experience is what comes from, you hear it in our arrangements. That's what we're doing behind the scenes. What's gonna make it go? What's gonna make it run? And, and get our audience up and clapping because they don't expect it when we walk on the stage. It's we have to sit like this. And we're like, just ask the person behind you if, you can stand up, but you better be on your feet when you come to our concert. So that's what we have in common about, music and wanting to bring the joy. We all have different styles. We love different styles, and we have these similar styles as well. But our joint theme is we've got to move. And we want you to feel that as well.
Yes. Awesome. And our mission as the String Queens is to create musical experiences that inspire diverse audiences to love, to hope, to feel, and to imagine. And so this is about feeling. This is about being connected. This is about our shared humanity. This is about this universal language that unifies us all. And whether it is soul, whether it is R&B, whether it is classical or jazz or gospel, whatever the genre is, at the end of the day, the common denominator is we're feeling something. We're going through an entire range of emotions during a concert so that by the time you leave our performances, it's very You can just exhale, you know? And so we feel that. Our goal as performers is for our audiences to be able to feel that. And if someone leaves and they haven't been changed in some way, shape, or form, then we haven't done our job. And so we thrive off of audience energy. We thrive off of the energy of each other. And this is what God has placed us on this earth to do. And there are beautiful days, there are days that glow, but they're also very challenging days. And especially when we immerse ourselves in the creative process of arranging, we consider every idea that each of us brings to the table. We record everything. And so when we're not together, we're in the car listening back to rehearsal recordings, or when we have a break from teaching, we're in our classrooms with our instruments, taking down sections to see how we can improve this transition, how we can make something better. And it's just a constant process of growth, of being able to connect different themes throughout different genres of music. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is, this is what we have been placed on this earth to do, and we give it every fiber of our being to make sure that we're able to share these gifts with the audiences who come to experience our music.
That's amazing, and that definitely translates. I can tell you, when I witnessed what I witnessed, where I witnessed it at, I felt all of those things. I felt that array of emotion, and I'm just happy to be in conversation with you ladies. Truly, you're amazing. And I must say, the chemistry that I feel between you all, it seems as if you've been knowing each other for years. But I know the group was founded in 2017. Were you friends beforehand, or did you meet in 2017? Can you talk about the foundation of the String Queens?
Yeah, sure. It started actually long before 2017, long before we even knew each other, came together. We were playing in different capacities before we formally became the String Queens. So essentially, Dawn and Élise were the first two to kind of connect and know each other through a Baltimore-based symphony that they were playing in. And Dawn was at Juilliard at the time, so she was kind of commuting back and forth when this symphony would have performances. There were New York musicians and DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia musicians that would come together. They were, of course, the principals of their sections, first chair. Yes, of course. Of course. They're the best players I know. And I mean that with every fiber of my being. And so they admired each other's playing, but also for the humans that they are, the wives, the mothers, the sisters, and just who they are in each space that they occupy. And so then later, Élise and I kind of met through kind of like background gigs. DC Jazz Festival would have different fundraisers or galas and need sort of entertainment while people were having cocktail hour and things like that. And they actually paired us together, and we didn't know each other. So they called her separately, called me separately. We showed up to the gig. I think we had some background tracks or something, and we just vibed out. And that was the first time, especially a cellist, that I got to play with somebody who was funky and groovy and boundless. You know what I mean? And trying every idea. And it's like, I think the String Queens, it's almost like we met our match kind of thing. And I don't even mean it from like a hierarchy perspective. I just mean like that energy that you said that you even feel. We found that in each other. And so that was the here. And then Dawn and I met because I had a trio wedding gig that I had been contracted for, or I was contracting for. So I was already working with a cellist. I didn't know Élise at the time. And so I had somebody for cello, but I needed a violist. And I was teaching science at a middle school that Dawn's husband was teaching reading language arts at. We both were on our planning period. You know, you're just talking about, oh, how was your day? What's going on, Kenny? Everybody says Kenny. And I'm like, yeah, man, I just wish I could find this violist for this gig, just on a whim. And this is God. This is how you know it's God. And I know B as like B, and like this great teacher, and like B, cool B. And he's like, my wife plays viola. And I'm like, nuh-uh. Like, no, she does. No one says that. And so he was like, no, like she went to Juilliard. Like, I'm legit. I'm not playing with you. Like, she went to Juilliard. And I said, I need her number immediately. So then I called her. You know, we did the gig. We carpooled to the gig. Had a great time on the way at the gig. And we've been sisters ever since. And then Dawn had a gig. And I'll kind of turn, you want to take that part since this is your baby?
I had a gig, another wedding gig in downtown DC. And the day before the gig was my daughter's first birthday party. And we were out at Haynes Point in the park. And I said, oh, a great way for us to all, meet each other and spend some time together and, develop a friendship and a camaraderie is let me invite them both to my daughter's birthday party. And I'm a planner. I'm very organized. It's the Virgo in me. And so I created these binders of children's songs. And so I said, bring your instruments and I'll have some music ready for you. And we'll play music for the 1-year-olds at the party. And so they came out to the party, which was great. They've actually been to every single one of my children's birthday parties, which is phenomenal.
This is family.
Oh, this is family
Oh, yeah,
first.
this is family
This
first.
is
Oh,
absolute
That's why it worked.
family
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
Yes, and we didn't play a note at the party because we were too busy having too much fun. But the next day was the gig, and we again had our binders, our Handel water music, and our Mozart, Eine Kleine Nacht music, and Beethoven quartets, and all of these wonderful classical trios, and I think we did a couple quartet arrangements as well. And we sat down, and we had our set list, and we played the various parts of the ceremony. But there was something special about the sound that we produced together after having playing this classical repertoire pretty much our entire lives, but we had never played it together. And so when you hear a little bit of like a soulful, slide here and there playing Mozart, or we started to develop the same breath and the same phrasing and the same musical ideas that just really came alive naturally. At the end of the gig, we said, hey, let's do something with this. This is really special. And we've all played in various chamber music groups, various orchestras, had wonderful experiences, but there was just something special. There was something different when we came together with the three of us, and we said, let's sit down and let's really develop this and let's do something with this. So we sat down in Élise's classroom. She's a middle school orchestra director, and we played some music, but it wasn't classical music. We said, hey, bring music that you would want to play to the table, and everybody brought something, and we sat down and we read through some things and put a couple of names of the group on the board, and it's sort of just, the rest is history. Here we are as the String Queens, yes.
Awesome. Here you are as the String Queens. Now, I must say that I'm no aficionado,
Okay.
right? But I don't think there have been an overwhelming majority or amount of Black artists in classical spaces. When I think of string instruments, I think of black violin, Damien Escobar.
Absolutely.
But I don't have any point of reference outside of you ladies, of course, as for women, Black women, of course. So what gave you the fuel, the confidence, inspiration to carve out a career in that particular lane?
Oh, okay.
Go, Sean. Yeah.
Well, like Dawn or Kendall just said, we've been doing this for a minute. And I don't think it was even about what we saw. It's what we know it can be and what we've already done.
Right.
We've done groups before, and we've done different kinds of groups. We've done a sextet, octet, quartet, septet, sextet.
All the texts.
All the tets. We've done them.
All of it.
And like they both said, we've done trios and quartets. But why not?
Yeah.
Why not do this? Why not go out? I would say go out on a limb, but I don't even think we thought of it as going out on a limb. It's we really clicked when we got together and played that classical gig so beautifully. Like we had never played as a trio before, but we were breathing together. We were playing with our notes together. It was amazing. And so I think the thought was, this is great. This is a great thing. We should do this. And it just happened. And we knew, first of all, they're amazing when it comes, they're so business savvy. So they
That's
knew
important.
exactly,
Yes, it is.
isn't it? So it was more of, this is what we need to do. This is what we're going to do. This will work. If we're all on the same page, this will work. I can't remember thinking, oh, we should we should like get in our lane. It was really, we're musicians. We do this. Let's do our own. Let's have our own brand, have our own name. We've been playing with and for other people our whole lives. Why not have the String Queens that we own? It's our name.
There's so much inspiration. We've been playing our entire lives, and it's interesting that you mentioned black violin, because Kevin and I'm originally from Miami. We grew up in youth orchestra together. We were stand partners. And so to be a member of the String Queens, but have the utmost admiration and respect for our brothers in black violin, but still growing up in youth orchestra, playing, Tchaikovsky symphonies and Rachmaninoff and all of these wonderful classical compositions. But when you take the inspiration of the music that you're experiencing in youth orchestra, also pairing that with the music of your community and the music of your people and the music that you're growing up listening to in your own household, you want to be able to marry these two worlds together. And so when you go to orchestra and you understand what it's like to be a member of a team, to be a member of a section, to be a section leader, right? and then you take the inspiration of the soul music that you're growing up in, the gospel music that's playing in your home, and you're able to marry those two things together. It really just creates a whole nother world of music that I don't know why not very many people are exploring and really tapping into, right? Like there are only so many times you can repeat the same orchestral concert with the same classical canon of symphonies. And so if you've been coming to the symphony for 20 years, what new experience can you have? What new repertoire can you listen to when you come into the concert hall to experience these things? And I think, orchestras, our world-class orchestras are finally now starting to say, hey, let's open up the door and be more receptive to exploring more genres of music being performed by our symphony, right? You go to the Kennedy Center now and you hear the National Symphony, and you have Nas with the National Symphony. You have Kendrick Lamar with the National Symphony. You have formerly Mos Def Yasin with the National Symphony. But now you're being able to marry audiences, and what was a traditional, let's just call it what it is, white European audience that's occupying all of the seats in the concert hall. Well, now you've opened it up to members of the community, and now you have a much more diverse musical experience for the performers on stage who have been playing the same pieces for their entire professional careers, but also members of the community who may have never stepped foot into a concert hall before. And you're creating experiences that will make them want to come back. And so that's what we're trying to do with our music. And I know that's what Black Violin is doing with their mission. And they're also really wonderful classical performers. I think a couple of weeks ago, I took my daughter to see one of my best friends, Melissa White, performed Florence Price's second violin concerto with the National Philharmonic. And so now you have this violin concerto written by a Black female composer being performed by a Black woman, backed by the National Philharmonic, which doesn't necessarily look like the performer. There's some issues around diversity in symphonic and classical music culture, but now you're starting to see the Sphinx Symphony perform the work of Michael Abels, who does the scores for Jordan Peele movies, Get Out and all these, and you're starting to see even these film elements start to, work their way into the concert hall. And so, we like to say that we're authentic in our mission, in the music that we play and the arrangements that we do, but it's also not just about us. It's about opening up a whole nother lane and a whole nother world of music to spaces that we have been traditionally ostracized from, so that members of our community are able to come in and experience all the things that we listen to every single day of our lives.
That's interesting. And what I took from that was representation.
Absolutely.
And exposure. Now, each of you ladies teach.
I was just about to bring up
in classrooms. Now, how important are those elements to sharing with your students?
When you mentioned inspiration,
Yes.
I was thinking of two sides of that coin. I was thinking of how we pay homage to the people who came before us, who, yes, Black Violin, who are also very much our contemporaries too, but also the Regina Carters and the Noel Pointers and the Jean-Luc Ponty, like these folks who said, I have this classical instrument, but I can make it sing.
Yes.
I can make it swing.
Come on.
And I can give it soul, and I can give it a life, and I can tell a story on it. And so there's that side, like all the people who came before us who paved this way. And then you have our students, right? Who, every time we sit down to do a new arrangement or tweak a current arrangement that we already have, I think about our students. What would they want to hear? What do they want to experience? What stories do they want to feel during the, hearing the music? And a lot of the music we play, it's not their music, right? But there's so many connections now because music is such a universal language. So they know Earth, Wind, and Fire September because the world recognizes how bomb that group is, that it was in a movie called Trolls. And so that's a way that our students are able, students that we don't teach when we go and do master classes and do performances for student groups. So I think about our students in terms of our repertoire. And we're inspired to, and that's why we do this, and we're purposed to do it, but it's also, I feel, a responsibility to do what we do. We're not just like teachers. We go 1,000% in everything that we do. So it's funny, sometimes when we're out, we have to get subs and things like that. And I think sometimes there's a misperception of like what we're doing when we're not there, but we are grinding. It's a constant grind. And our kids know when we come back from the concert hall from LA or from wherever, like we're giving them the same thing, the same energy that we give a stage, the same energy when we're giving a keynote to a group of string teachers or teachers who are trying to figure out in this post-pandemic world how to reach their students. Like, like we're doing it for all of them.
Yes.
And I also just wanted to add, like, there's room for all of these elements to exist. Like,
absolutely.
you know, Black Violin, they have an educational arm as well, you know, and they have a different spin on it, you know. But the fact that we're 3 strong Black women who are bold, courageous, and outrageous in our dreams, like the audacity that we have to, and this is something I've been reflecting on recently, ladies, is just like the audacity that we didn't think about it as a career. You mentioned, like, you know, and you started this career. We didn't think about it like that. It was like, we got to do this.
Yeah.
And that was the impetus to go to the next level. And of course, then you meet folks along the way. You know, we have, you know, our amazing manager that we have now that you meet along the way, who's also connected to one of the artists I just said we pay homage to. And it's all, the world is very small.
Yes.
The world is very small. And I think, as Dawn said, when we continue to make it about everybody else, blessings come. The blessings fall down like rain, because it's not about selling out shows. We do have sometimes sell out shows, but it's not about that.
Yeah. Now, you said something very important that I picked up on. You're not concerned about selling out shows, although you do. Understandably so. You're very talented. Now, with that being said, you ladies have released 3 albums in the span of 4 years, right? And although that is a lot of creative output, I'm an artist myself, so recording artist myself, so I understand how much goes into that. But with that being said, what is it about the recording process that makes you focus on the actual creative aspect and not so much the algorithms and selling records? What keeps the art pure for you? Can you talk about that?
Good question. What keeps the art pure?
I think a part of it, well, not even a part, so much of it is, it's coming from here. It's coming from a very authentic place. This is literally our soul in our sound. And so when we go into the booth, when we prepare for the recordings, the driving force is the heart behind it. And recording, as you know, because you are a recording artist versus a live show, you have to work almost double as hard to convey the emotion that you want the audience to hear when they might hear your song on the radio or when they go download it on Apple Music, right? Because in a live show, you're present. We're here
energy.
physically together. There's an energy. And so you have to, when you record, try to have that same energy translate through this medium of buttons and waves and all kind of when you're looking at the screen. But so much of what we do as well, like I said earlier, is you listen. And if the recording is not moving you when you listen back, how can you expect it to move a listener when they're listening back? And so that's the starting point. And let me tell you something, when we record, those days are grueling. They are grueling. And to be honest, we don't like to take very many breaks when we're recording because when you hit what the author Timothy Galway talks about in this in his book, The Inner Game of Tennis. And it's a book that I'm really fond of, but there's a element in it where he talks about flow. When you hit flow, that's like the zone. When you get there, you don't want to break that momentum. And every break you take, you're not guaranteed to get it back. And so we're constantly listening back. And when we record, to be honest with you, the majority of our recordings, we're recording in separate booths. So even to be able to connect with one another in 3 separate places, exactly, to feel that energy across doors, is another element and another layer that goes into the recording process that we have to be able to overcome to make this one unified sound. So there's a lot of independent preparation. Don't you dare, and this is a mutual norm in our group, don't you dare show up to a recording session and you're not prepared. Because we're a team. And if you've ever played on any team, you're only as strong as your weakest link. But when there is no weak link because everybody has come prepared, now we have a starting point and a launch pad to just be able to make something beautiful blossom. And that's our angle when we go into recording. And I don't know if y'all want to add something.
I was just going to say a pure heart is how you get the pure art.
Ooh, come on, Kenny.
Because
that sounds like a t-shirt. That sounds like merch.
It is heartbeat. Dawn and Élise cannot see each other when we're in the studio. They both can see me, but they can't see each other. That's nothing but heartbeat. Because some songs we recorded, there was no metronome because it was the energy
Yeah.
was actually more important than staying at in time.
Right.
You know, there are records from the past, the 70s, 60s, whatever, where there was no metronome. Folks were just jamming. And somebody pressed record, and they didn't have the technology to edit. And so the magic, you had to make the magic.
Yes.
But I think the preparation with the heart piece, with the level of excellence that is just the expectation. And I also think like God has blessed us with so many opportunities that the expectation for ourselves is that we continue to grow. Like, growth is what's going to sustain us. Growth and evolution is how people continue to be like, what are they doing now? Well, okay, so they're in the classroom, right? Like, oh, now they're playing, Stand By Me. Last record they were doing CeeLo, and and here's my favorite things. Oh, that has like a musical element in terms of, Rodgers and Hammerstein, that piece, Sound of Music, but it's got a jazz element too, because you got the John Coltrane arrangement. I think we look for things that are not in existence. There's a feeling, and when we listen back in the studio, it's like, that wasn't it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not always about notes or intonation, or it is about a feeling. If the magic is not there, it's like, let's hit it again. And everybody always knows.
Yes.
I don't remember very many times when you didn't like it, where we all were not like, let's go again. Let's go again. And you have to stick with the momentum because it's physically taxing. We're athletes as far as we're concerned. We don't have a light approach to what we do. I mean, we're sweating, when we're coming off, or if there's a break, an intermission in between, and we change clothes. We'd like to change clothes because we like to just kind of do some, but we also need to refresh because, we're leaving it all on the floor. There's a responsibility to leave it on the floor. We've been far too blessed in terms of the educators that we've had, the individual private lessons teachers and instructors who have kind of paved the way, and of course our musical inspirations, our students, our families who make it possible for us to be able to travel. People have children, people have, we have careers that are outside of the String Queens, but it's the village that kind of keeps it all going. That's what makes an 8-hour session. When on the back end, you're gonna look back and listen back like that was it. And then, Dawn's beautiful baby boy, Brody, he's on the album cover. And I just think about that too. And that's a story we'll always have that Brody was with us in every session. And that's different from other groups that are out there. We're just humans. And then we just put it to music.
That's it.
Love, hope, feel, and imagine.
Yes.
The music has to do that for us. And that's the beauty of us. Yes, we were trained to, please your audience. When we get on the stage as classical musicians, it's got to be like this. It's got to be like that. The conductor has to approve of your sound, right?
Come on.
But the String Queens, there's a different feeling we want you to have. And there's a different feeling that we have, and a different love, a different hope, a different imagine that we have for the music that we're putting out there. It's important for us to approve of what we put out there. And we want you to feel what we're feeling. Like Kendall said, if it doesn't feel right for us, we're not doing it. We've left some things on the editing floor and just said, not on this album. And so we're going back to the drawing board to figure that out. But music isn't just notes on a page. And it's really about giving a present to the world, gifting ourselves and gifting you with something that's beyond your imagination, beyond what you can even write down on paper in words. It's in notes, So
I think about, you touched on something, this culture of perfection that is so deeply rooted in orchestral playing, predominantly classical playing, and something that's so freeing with the String Queens is we're not striving to be perfect in the sense of something very metronomic, as Kendall was saying, or the notes and the intonation, and all of these things are absolutely important. They absolutely matter. But something that's so beautiful is we're okay with the imperfection of who we are. Because when you combine 3 different imperfections, you've created maybe a different form of perfection in another way. And so,
I like that perspective.
We're all human. We're all fallible. We all make mistakes. We're not perfect. And I think that's something that's so liberating when we do come together to rehearse, when we have concerts, when we have performances. Of course, we want to give, like Kendall was saying, 1,000% and play the best we possibly can and deliver a phenomenal musical experience to our audiences. But let's keep it real. Nobody's perfect. There's going to be a wrong note. Absolutely. There's going to be a wrong note. But the beauty of the genre-defying music that we play is we take that wrong note and maybe it's a modulation into a new key. You see what I'm saying? Maybe it's a turning corner. Exactly. But with all of that, right, comes incredible listening, because you constantly have to be able to humble yourself enough to listen very intently on what's happening around you musically, so that you're able to go where the music is going. If Kendall wants to go left and you're driving straight, well, we're going left. We're following Kendall. We're going left, right?
That's
and eventually
right.
we'll make it back to the main road.
That's right.
But you have to be humble enough to be able to say, this is not about just free it up and allow yourself to go where the music is moving, and to go where it's taking you.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, our audiences go on that same journey with us.
Yeah.
They go on that same journey with us. And when we walk off the stage, and there are lots of tears usually when we come off stage, and there's a lot of sweat, and there's a lot of woo-cha, there's a lot of all of that, right? But I don't think we've ever walked off of a stage and been like, oh my God, y'all, what just happened? Oh my God, I hit this wrong.
Yeah.
It's never that. It's never that.
Support. and
Absolutely,
freedom.
yes.
I get that energy. I get that energy. Now let me ask you, let's pivot a little bit. We've talked a lot about music, but it's a lot behind the music. I heard we have a few kids, some spouses, some relationships. Can we talk about the work-life balance and how, what's behind that? How do you, what makes you go?
Prayer.
Prayer.
Just start there.
There you
A
go.
lot of prayer.
You about to get us preaching in here now.
and you don't, we have played in other groups, and that did, and I played in an all-female band before, like it was keys, drums, all that, but prayer has to be at the foundation, and that's in individual foundations for us as just 1, 2, and 3, and their family, family nuclei are also prayer at the center. But I also think the humility to ask for help, right? How do we find the work-life balance? Like, hey, what do you need? You need me to go pick up this or make this call, or and that's amongst our friends, right? And to be honest with you, if we're just keeping it real, like I have lost some friends, not just in the String Queens journey, but as I've decided to like make this a really big part of my life, everybody doesn't get it, but your people, your village, gets it, and they know that the mission is bigger than you or us. Like it's way bigger. And then just understanding vulnerability, and just being humble and open, I think is what kind of drives me. Because like Dawn said, it's not easy. Every day, when we come off the stage, like it's kicking off the shoe. I mean, we're tired. Let's just keep it real. It's like, I heard in a movie the other day, like all Black women are tired. And that's a whole nother different conversation.
Come on, Whitney.
But like,
Let's go.
we're tired. Like to be able to wear all the hats that we wear, like, it does come with a
and you wear 'em well.
or at least approach them with excellence, or at least that is the goal. It takes that energy, but I don't know if you guys want.
Love and trust and support. I'm fortunate to have a partner that is also a musician and understands what I'm doing, but I have to also give, and I have to make sure. Dawn said it years ago, and I loved it. When you're home, you have to be present. You have to be home. And I'll admit, sometimes I'm home and I'm on chat with them.
Sneaking, right? Sneaking.
My husband's like, is that the girls? Yeah, what do you need, honey? But it is, first of all, luckily, thankfully, he loves them as sisters. So, and so being with them, he understands. But he also needs, like I need, and we have that understanding. But work goes aside. No matter what, turn the phone off. Like just unplug. I have a daughter as well, and now she's living her own life. She's in her 20s, but when she was younger, that was another balance. Making sure I was present for her, and being her mom, and not Élise the cellist with her daughter Stephanie. I became Steffi's mom and had to make sure I was all in that role. And thankfully, there was a village there as well. The village is so important in our lives. And
Let you take the cape off.
yeah, they let you, that is good.
All
They
this
let
merch,
you-
all these quotes
Yeah.
and slogans.
I got that from somebody else. I got that from Travella.
They do let you take the cape off and be yourself, and they support you. And like you said, asking for help. When I think one of you said it, but when you can humble yourself and be vulnerable enough to say, I can't do this by myself. I don't know what I'm doing. How about I don't know what I'm doing? I don't know. Can someone help? And you've got your mom, you've got your dad, you've got friends who've been there to say, okay, so relax. And first we're gonna make sure you're okay so that you can be okay
Yes.
for your family.
Yes.
That matters so much. And then when you do see other people do it, and I've watched Dawn, like, okay, so my child is much older, right? And Briley, I hope it was okay to say her name. Okay. Dawn's baby, we met when she was 1. We got together when she was 1. And we really got it going. I guess Riley was
Probably like 3 or 4.
3 or 4. So we didn't see Dawn really in the infant stages with us and her first child. This second child, I've said to her, I wish I had you when I had my child.
Sharp.
Yeah, Sharp. It's true. It's real.
Yeah,
Real life.
because her journey with a new baby is amazing. And I know it's the village.
Yes.
It's prayer. It's your husband, you know. It's all, we just are so blessed to have people in our lives who support what we do, like truly support it. And when you have that kind of support, all you can do is give back to that. I have to put my phone away from my husband because even now, this is our weekend, you know, and he's at home. And he's saying, good luck. I'm lonely, but good luck.
In parentheses,
I'll be back tomorrow, I promise. You know,
get
and then when I come back, it's all about him.
Nice.
Until we go away again, which is coming up. So, you know, but him knowing that I'm always home. I may not physically be there, but I'm always home with you. And what you do with your family and what you do with your family, it's them with us at all times. It's God showing us the right path.
Yes.
In making sure that we stay the course and we stay together. And I don't mean we're always TSQ, but there's such a love and a camaraderie outside of the name.
Oh, yeah.
The String Queens. We hold each other up. We lean on our families. It's I wish I could eloquently tell you how important these ladies are. And I'm the oldest in the group. And let me tell you, I had no idea that I would be blessed at my age with impeccable women in my everyday. This is not a Saturday gig kind of thing. This is like, this is 24/7. This, when you said it earlier, a family, oh, you have no idea. And to not expect to have 2 more sisters in my life at this stage of the game. Couldn't have imagined it. It's only God that brings us on this stage with you today. Couldn't have imagined that this would be our life and these would be my sisters on this journey I didn't know was happening. I don't think I'm on point with the question, but I'm just so like, it's
fine.
right. And I don't know how we could have done all of this without prayer and without village, without family. And village really is outside the people in our homes and outside of our homes.
Exactly.
And family is everything. And honestly, when I look back, because when I was in this game a long time ago, it did feel more selfish on my end. I'll be right back. I'll be back. I'm coming, you know. And that's why I cried when I see you with Brody. Because you got it.
Yeah.
I don't have it without y'all.
I hear you, but you got it.
even
Auntie
Briley.
Lily and Auntie Kenny.
Listen,
We'll come back
without y'all.
off the road.
Yeah.
But before we get back, you know, we're hearing Dawn tell, you know, Briley, the older, she's 9 now. It's like, we're having we literally came off of like a 6-day straight run one week in April. And then we came back and the last show was at my school. We did the thing with the dancers.
Oh, gosh.
And we were like crawling to the thing. I mean, it was just, you know, the fatigue. But she was like, yes, we'll do that. Let's do that gig for your school and, you know, community service or what have you. But I'm also bringing Briley. Like, she loves dance. She's a dancer. You know, she's always finding ways to connect. Yes, I'm gone now, or we're gone now. But when I'm there, like, let's do, and doing it big. And I know you don't always have it.
Yeah.
But you pull it.
You pull
Let me
it.
tell you,
willingly.
We did this interview recently with the Washington Informer, which is a publication run by African-American women that's going into, I believe, their 58th year of being around. And, you know, you hear this term, black girl magic, black girl magic, black girl magic. And the woman who was interviewing us, she said, this is not black girl magic. This is black woman majesty. And so I think of our mothers, right? Because we are products of how we were raised. We've seen the work of our parents. Primarily our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers. And so when you watch this lineage of strong, powerful Black women that have nurtured you into the Black woman that you are today, it's only fitting for you to teach those same lessons to your daughter, to your children, so that when they have their children and the line continues, you're passing down the most important part of being on this world. In this world, you're passing down faith. You're passing down hard work. You're passing down empathy. You're passing down compassion and sisterhood. And frankly, you know, the representation, a large part of the representation of Black women in mainstream media is not very favorable. We're not out here cutting each other down and cursing and arguing and, you know, just not being a reflection of our best selves. And so every day when we wake up and like somebody said, we put the cape on, we want to be a reflection of the women and the men, our fathers as well, who have raised us, but we also want to make sure that we are the best reflection of our families, of our children, of all the things that are happening within our home. And we don't step out into this world any day of our lives without grounding ourselves in God, in our faith. Because when you ain't got it, as a human, as a fleshy, as a person who ashes to ashes, dust to dust, He's holding you down.
For sure.
He is holding you. Dig deep. Trust in me, and I will renew your strength. And that's where it's coming from. That's where every fiber of this is coming from. We don't do it on our own. We're human, right? Yeah, absolutely.
That's what people feel.
Absolutely.
That's what people feel.
Yes. And it would be remiss of me not to mention my girls when I was 7-8 months pregnant. I couldn't even bend over to put my shoe on. They're in full gowns, full makeup, hair, all these things on the floor, strapping my shoe because I was too big to bend over and do it myself.
That was a no-brainer.
It was a
It was a
no-brainer.
no-brainer. Of course we were going to do that.
I'm home sick. I go to the door, and there's 5 Panera bags in front of my door with soup and food for my family and tea and bananas and like all the things that when you're not feeling your best and you just ain't got it, but to have it come to the door, come on, man. I'm gonna stop there because y'all gonna get me.
That's the book. That's the movie.
Done.
That's all the
I'm
things.
done.
Book,
I'm done.
movie, merch. We got everything. We got everything. So many quotes and slogans, so many gems dropped here. I'm glad we were able to make that pivot because I think a lot of times we, especially now in the digital age and social media, we see and revere these celebrities and musicians, and we're enamored by their talent. So when we see you play, we see all of this. But I wanted to humanize that, to let everybody know and remind you ladies that it's okay. We're all trying, we all make mistakes. And the key is to have a village. The key is a foundation for you all ladies is prayer, love, and support, camaraderie. And I really, really, really feel the family energy here. And what I love about you ladies, this trio as a family, is layered. Your husbands, your friends are intertwined, your kids, you know. So I think that's very beautiful. That's very beautiful. Now, pivoting back, musically speaking, what's next? Individually, as a collective, you just released your latest album, Rise, which charted, correct me if I'm wrong, number 14 on Billboard's classical crossover.
I'm gonna bump you up 2
Number
spots.
12. Number 12.
Okay. I need my 2 spots. Number 12, that's
wild.
beautiful.
Classical
That's
crossover.
beautiful. That's beautiful. So what's next? What's next, ladies?
Well, it's about time. So, I mean, we're planners, right? Like, we're strategic planners. If there's a vision, it's like, okay, let's start from the end of that and work our way back to see what it's going to take to get there. Another album, of course. I mean, we're touring. I mean, we're grateful to APAP. So we did APAP. That's where we met you in January. And I think in that same month or within days, we signed with our booking agent. And so our reach, grateful to God, is just growing. It's just growing and it's expanding. It's West Coast, it's up, it's down, it's over. Prayerfully, international, in our near future. And just reaching as many people as possible. That's what's next.
And we don't do this on our own. We are so blessed to have a fabulous fabulous manager in Michelle Taylor of PMG.
Say it all.
Who literally, we're all business savvy in our own right. But this woman is a gift from God.
She's sharp.
Goodness.
Don't play with Michelle.
But also, right, like not the yes person
Right.
in the capacity of
Fight
being your
for you.
manager. Hold you accountable, right, to fulfilling your responsibilities and obligations that are going to, she can get the process started, but to see it through, that's on us. And so, I want to say, I think I said this on the road yesterday, like our bookings have grown exponentially since Michelle has come on board as our manager, ironically enough, in Women's History Month of last year. And so I think of what we have coming up, right? St. Paul, Minnesota, and LA,
Phoenix.
and Arizona, Phoenix, and Vail, and Miss Philly, and
North Carolina, Michigan.
Exactly.
Right.
But new spaces
She
that
has
we
you
have not
everywhere.
occupied
New spaces.
before.
She got y'all everywhere.
She does. She does.
Come on, yes, and just completely has opened up a whole nother world of performances for us.
We looked at each other the other day and said, because we were talking about what's after this, and we said, look at us. Like it was. You think when we started this, we were like, we'll perform, we'll do our thing, and we'll have people bumping and everything, But to think that every week or just every month we're in a new city. And as we said earlier, we didn't actually go in with, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go and perform all over the world. Of course, we would love
Open to it.
Hey, not blocking that blessing, right? But now that we look at our lives for real, literally on the calendar, we're somewhere else in another city. In another month, and then in July, and then in September, and we're like, whoa, this really did. And when people say overnight, it's not overnight that we're playing these instruments and you think we sound great. We've been doing that for decades, right? But to literally be, we're DC based, but to play a lot in the city, and then you blink and now your calendar is filled with multi-city performances. It's that felt overnight. We know it's not, but it really does feel. I see why people say it, because it is that feeling. What was I doing this time last year?
Exactly. I was literally thinking
we were getting ready for Capitol Jazz, that's local. You know what I mean? And now a year later, city, different city, go across the country, that kind of thing. It is mind blowing. It is. But we're not shocked about. We know what it took to get here. It's not literally overnight,
and what it will take to stay,
and what it will take to stay. I like that you said that.
And we're also talking about publishing. So we have basically
there we go.
this big book of arrangements. I'm just calling it that, a big book of arrangements. And some of them we've shared with our students, and our students have played the works, at their level. We've abridged or made adjustments. But we realized that there are students in other orchestras, middle school, high school, who would like to play our music, sit as trio. So when you have the orchestra concert, okay, you have a soloist here, you have the orchestra play a few tunes. Let's have a trio here, play a couple of tunes. And they might want to play String Queens repertoire. And this music is older than them, In Vogue, which, we play Don't Let Go, which is a song in our 90s medley. Our kids don't know who In Vogue is and Don't Let Go, but they will because there's a feeling behind it. It's soul music. So like, what is this? Who is this? And then they get to play too. They get to have it too. Like there's no limits to how. I'm amazed by the kids. They know about who Michael Jackson is. Who's
they do
been gone longer than our babies have been alive in some cases. But this music is timeless music, and I'm just grateful. And we are working on originals, original arrangements, and we've done special projects for other artists who have original tunes and things like that. And we've written the music and all of that. But there's something special about taking a timeless classic and just bringing it to another light and bringing more life to it in a different way. It's not better or worse. It's just different. It stands alone.
Different. That's awesome. And I'm honored to be in conversation with you ladies. Truly special conversation. So without any further ado, I would like to present to you all the String Queens playing their latest single, Till Victory Is Won.